Can you imagine a government led by Michael Ignatieff as the Prime Minister and Jack Layton as the Deputy Prime Minister? It could happen. The news coming out of Britain is that different parties can work together in a coalition. I think the Prime Minister in Britain put shames to our Prime Minister when it comes to reaching out to smaller parties for the good of the government, for the good of the public. Unfortunately, the Liberal and the Conservative Party in Canada has a monopoly over the government, and to a large extent, even the corporate media, that it is almost impossible to get any political or electoral reform in Canada for those voters who voted for other party like the Green Party and the NDP Party. Even though election is not the only place where people can voice their opinions, I think it is still very important because it is one of the few institutions that give everyone, regardless of how much money they have, the right to vote. And I'm disappointed to read that Ontario Premier Dalton McGuinty announced that we will not have any more electoral reform because Ontarians voted 63.1% to keep the existing first-past-the-post system back in 2007 in the referendum. I remember voting for the electoral reform during that election and getting into a lot of debate about the new system with other people. And a lot of people were unsure of what proportional representation means, let alone the specific proposal called mixed member proportional representation. When it comes to the election, many Ontarians, like Canadians, just don't even bother. The voter turnout rate in the 2007 Ontario election was 52%, which is similar to the voters' turnout for the recent Canadian federal election. Can we say that's healthy turnout? Can we say that we live in a healthy democracy with that level of voters' turnout? I agree with Lawrence Ledoux, a political scientist at the University of Toronto, that the mainstream media, financed and supported by the Liberal and Conservative Party, was very hostile to electoral reform from the get-go. He cited a study that indicated the news coverage of the mixed member proportional representation was overwhelmingly negative. And that's really why a lot of people voted against it. And they also had a study where they say that the more people learn about the new proposal, the more people were willing to accept and approve electoral reform. Indeed, less than a week before the Ontario election referendum, 24% of Ontarians surveyed said they didn't know anything about the referendum. Can we objectively say that many of the voters rejected electoral reform when half of them don't even bother to vote, and so many of them that did vote did not really have a clear understanding of what they were voting about, other than the news they get from the media, like the Toronto Star and the Globe Mail, who like to use examples like Italy and Israel as an example against proportional representation. Of course, when other countries use it as well, like New Zealand and the Welsh Assembly and the Scottish Parliament and a number of other countries. Just because voters voted against a specific form of electoral reform doesn't mean that voters support the current electoral reform, current electoral system. If our politicians and our political party inspire more confidence from the public and engage with the public, perhaps the public would have more interest in understanding about our political system. I refuse to believe that just because I vote for a smaller party, my vote doesn't count. And I refuse to support that a party that gets so much less than 50% of the popular vote get to control the direction of the country and everything that deal with national affairs or provincial affairs.